Hi, I'm Amy. Welcome into my channel. Today I'm coming to you fresh-faced because we are going to get ready as we do an update for my low buy / no buy periods during the month of 2025. I am going to give you the struggles that I had this month and the things that I actually purchased this month. And all in all, just kind of like go dive deep into this idea of trying to be a more mindful consumer and really just slowing down on the things that I buy and enjoying the makeup that I have. So if that sounds good to you, I would love for you to consider subscribing to my channel and keep watching so that you can get a little motivation for your own journey. Today we're going to do this get ready with me style, which is why I have no makeup on. We are getting ready for work. It is Monday, and yes, we are going to discuss all of the things that happened during the month of March and talk about a few kind of struggles and weak moments that I had. And hopefully by me sharing my struggles, that can kind of help you to recognize that within yourself and take a detour so that you can stick to your goals. I'm not going to talk a lot about the makeup that I am using today. However, we are going to be using my 1 week 1 palette using the Pat McGrath Divine Rose. I think this is the 7. It's this one. It's hard to see on the back of the gold reflective packaging. So we're going to use this today, and I do have to kind of have like an easy crease transition shade with this one. So I am going to be using an additional single shadow for my crease. So let's get into it. The month of March was a very long month. March, July, and August are the months that I hate the most in the year because they're so long. They're just never ending. And so this month, makeup wise, I really felt like I did good on not being super tempted. I did start to find within myself towards the end of the month that I was going to my cart because I knew that I was going to be able to start buying some things in April. I knew that I was out of some things like moisturizer, mascara. There's, just certain things that I knew, okay, I'm out of, and once April hits, I can start to buy these things. I'm, making do with other things that I have. Until then, I really want to have these things. Things that I did to make do was, instead of having an additional moisturizer in the morning, I just used a hydrating sunscreen instead, and that worked out really nicely. But now, as of today, I'm out of that. So like, I need to have a moisturizer. Mascara wise, I knew I was going to be out of a mascara, so I wanted to just make sure that I had a mascara and maybe even get a couple so that I don't run out, kind of like I did in March. So March was a very preparation kind of month. But in saying all of that, I found myself, just desiring the things, going through Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes in the Ulta app and thinking, oh, mini Biba, I would love to have that. We'll just save it for later. I'm not going to put it in my cart. I'm not going to buy it. But there was a lot of those moments of, I'm going to look to see what I want and I'm going to save it for later. And those moments started to really kind of be a little more frequent than I preferred. It was a couple of days of me adding things, and I just didn't like that. I didn't want to go down that path. So I'm very proud that I recognized that, weakness within myself, that I said, hey, you're only supposed to be adding to cart the things that you need to replenish and replace because you ran out, and not buying new things yet. If you haven't seen my intro video with my guidelines, I will kind of sum that up and I will link that video for you below so that you can kind of understand where I'm coming from. I don't want to do a no buy all year long. I wanted to kind of do a low buy situation so that I could allow myself to buy things during certain times of the year. So I chose to allow myself to buy things during the shorter months. And my birthday month, which is July, so that's a longer month, and possibly December because of all of the sales going on. So my goal in that was to try to not purchase during one of those shorter months. So in February, when I could have technically bought something, I did not. I didn't make any purchases, so that makes up for me purchasing in July. And then I'll do the same thing again later in the year for December, just not making any purchases during that month so that, you know, it all kind of shakes out in the end. I gave myself a $50 budget for those purchasing period times. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. We have gotten to the point where we are now close to, you know, it is April now when I'm filming this, but I was getting close to April. So here is what happened. I'm saying all of these things in a very long way. I feel like I'm very long-winded today. So purchasing, I also, this wasn't just for beauty, it was also for clothing. And that is where my weakness really hit. And where I kind of failed in my mission of not buying things that I didn't necessarily need. The truth is that I justified all of this because it's getting warmer. I am a hot-natured person. 5 sips of my coffee and I'm already ready to take the sweater off. I'm a hot-natured person. So now that some days it's 70 degrees, I am struggling because I'm sweating and it's really hot to me. The clothes that I had last summer don't fit because I gained a lot of weight since last summer. So my short sleeved shirts don't really fit. They don't look nice. My shorts certainly don't fit. And so I told my husband I need some clothes. So I went to Walmart and I got some shorts and I got some just like plain t-shirts or whatever. So I really was trying to wait until summertime to do that, but I couldn't because I was just so hot and so miserable. And if you're like me, when I get hot, I get very grumpy. So I didn't want to be grumpy and hot. That was all fine because I did that. However, real break in this kind of situation happened when my family and I were going through a town that has an Aldi. And so I was like, I really want to go to Aldi because Aldi is an hour away from us. So I like to go to Aldi whenever we are in one of those towns that has it, that are both an hour away from us. So we're driving to the Aldi and my daughter and I see a Goodwill and we're like, oh my gosh, we haven't been to a Goodwill in forever because, and you know, again, we live in the middle of nowhere and there's not a Goodwill except an hour away. And a lot of the Goodwills in some of the other towns that are bigger have closed. So this is like the only Goodwill within like an hour and a half radius of us. So we were like, so in almost 2 years, it had been 2 years since we had been to a Goodwill. So we were like, oh, we're going to go to the Goodwill. Well, you know, this is kind of a bigger town. And they had a lot of really cute clothes and a lot of clothes for my size, which was super encouraging. And so Abby and I both went a little crazy at the Goodwill. And I got a lot of extra clothes. And again, I'm trying to like justify it in my mind of I needed clothes that were a different size. I needed clothes that were coming up for the season that we're about to be in. And, you know, so I felt really guilty about it. Truthfully, I really wasn't wanting to buy clothes yet, and I felt really guilty about it because I am doing such a good job on my no buy / low buy. But I did it, and so I have to recognize that within myself, that I have enough clothes now, and I'm not gonna go buy any more for now. I'm good. I really should be good for the rest of the year. We have been eating better and losing a little bit of weight, and I still have all my clothes for all the other various sizes that will be lower than what I am now. So I really shouldn't need to go buy clothes. I should be fine. So, I felt guilty, but ultimately I'm happy with the things that I bought. I had also just trying to be more mindful of my color palette, color analysis. I had that done, well, not done, but one of my friends here on YouTube, but I won't call her out just in case, because she's not like professional and I don't want her to be like called out. Anyway, one of my friends, you know who you are, kind of like, told me what she thought. And so that was kind of what I was thinking when I looked at the color palette. I'm like, yes, these are all of my favorite colors. These are my favorite colors to wear on myself. So it makes total sense. Love that, I have this information now. So, the clothes that I bought also kind of have to do with that vibe. And so yeah, I think I'm happy with what I bought, the used and the new, and all in all, we can now just be over buying clothes. No more clothes. So to get back to the makeup aspect of the things. So yes, I was feeling very weak and vulnerable for a short period of time. I found myself kind of like getting that itch again. I'm really happy with the makeup collection that I have. I'm very happy with my things. I am enjoying using the makeup that I have. This looks really crazy, but we're gonna tone it down, I promise. One of the things that I love doing in order to find new ways to use things is like for this blush that's very dark. I've been underpainting with my blushes that are a little too dark. That has been really nice. Also combining it with a lighter blush like I did today. That's something I'm going to start doing also. And so, I've just been enjoying getting to know my collection, as people say. But really like finding ways to inspire myself with what I have instead of trying to go buy new things. I feel like we shouldn't need to always scratch that itch with buying new things. We should be inspired to create new looks and create new colors and new things to be inspired with what we already have, and like this palette right here from Hourglass. I pulled it out because I had finally met a goal on a bronzer that I had been using, and I knew that in this palette I wanted to hit pan on either the bronzer or this powder right here, this one. And so I started pulling it out, and look, I'm loving using the highlighter. I thought that the highlighter was a little too much for me, but really it's been very nice. And so just kind of rediscovering the things I have in my collection and finding new ways to use the things are the most inspiring to me. They are the things that keep me focused on my goals. So hopefully that is something that can help you to stay focused and using up the things that you already own. Another thing that I'm doing is the underpainting with the blush. I have this it's not brow. I have this No Budge shadow stick that I really don't use a lot. I use it as a lazy liner sometimes, but now I've started using it as like an underpainting contour type situation, and that's been a lot of fun. I have, you know, found a new way to use that thing up. Instead of having its one job, you know, now it has multiple jobs, and that is also very, very inspiring to me. My 1 week 1 palette series is something that I also really like doing. With larger palettes, I usually do it palette bingo style, which is, I mean, a ton of fun to just have your makeup, your eyeshadow look to be like completely out of your hands. One, it's kind of freeing, like I don't have to sit here and think about it. This is what I'm using today. And two, you get to pair things together that you probably never ever would have. It has really helped me to just have that love for the different eyeshadow palettes like reignited. Before we like really get into this eyeshadow look, I also did want to say that I did have to end up purchasing the mascara before April. It was very, very close to April, but I really could not make my other thing last any longer. I couldn't. So it was like 2 or 3 days before April, before the end of April. And so I have only bought, as of March, only bought one makeup product, no beauty products, and I bought some clothes. So the makeup product that I bought was this mascara from e.l.f. And this is like $6 or $7. So technically I have $100 in the bank to be able to use within my beauty budget rules, you know, for my buying months. And I've only spent, you know, the $6 or $7 for that. Now, one thing, and you know, again, I'm going to say this every month, just in case you're new to my channel, and if you are, hi, welcome. What I am wanting to do and why I kind of have these rules is I am hoping and I'm anticipating that Natasha Denona will come out with 2 specific midi palettes, and they are the midi versions of the Starlit and the Rose. I have the minis. I love them so much. See, I'm hot. And so I'm really, really hoping that she will come out with that this year. So I'm kind of like really trying to spend the least amount of money that I can. I'm buying drugstore things. I'm trying to spend the least amount of money that I can so that when if those two palettes come out, I will be ready for them. Fingers crossed. If she doesn't come out with those 2 palettes this year, then I would like to purchase I Need a Warm and maybe Bloom. Maybe Bloom. I'm not sure. There's parts of Bloom that I really like and parts that I don't like. Okay, we're going to fast forward through this eyeshadow portion and I'll see you later. The finished look right now with no mascara. I really love this really shifty orange shade, orangey gold shade. It's very pretty, orange, pink, gold, lovely, lovely. All right, let's see what it looks like with a little bit of mascara. Here is my finished look for Monday, ready for work. For my lip, I just put on a lip liner and a lip gloss over it, and I really like that color. I don't have a berry colored lipstick or lip gloss, so it's nice to have different lip liners to freshen things up. I really hope that you enjoyed the video. You found a little bit of inspiration through me being honest and raw about some of my weak moments and some of my maybe failure, but always trying to find a way to fight through those moments of weakness and the temptation in finding enjoyment with what you have. So if you like that, just consider subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye.